voice isn't just about the sound or the gender of your agent. It's also about how it behaves during a live call. In this video, you'll set your agent's voice, control how it speaks, how it reacts to silence, adjust its pacing, assign phone numbers, and fine-tune all the little things that help it adapt to each client's setup. Let's begin. To get started, let's click on the Voice tab. And as you can see, there are several tabs here. I'm going to talk about them one by one. As of the date of this filming, we currently have 4 Transcriber, and right now I'm using Deepgram. Transcriber is basically the one that converts the spoken audio into text so that the AI can make sense of it and reply instantly. And the model ID here is dependent on the chosen transcriber. Currently, we're seeing these model IDs because we're using Deepgram. So model ID just refers to the specific speech recognition engine you're using. Some are faster, others are more accurate, and some are optimized for conversational speech or noisy environment. You pick the one that best matches your case. In this case, I'm just going to choose the default, which is Nova 2. But as you can see, there are model IDs for conversational AI, voicemail, video, you name it. So experiment with these and see what's best for you. Now for the language, I'm going to be using English because most of the users, if not all, are going to be English speakers. Now for the utterance threshold is basically just the setting where you tell the agent how long of a pause means the user is done talking. Here we put 150. It means that if the user pauses for 150 milliseconds, the agent is going to treat that as the end and therefore will start transcribing. We recommend that you use between 150 to 500. Anything less or anything more than that is not generally recommended. For the input voice enhancer, this removes the background noise, normalize and enhance input audio before transcribing it. Now, silence detection. If this is enabled, your agent is going to listen for silence, and when it reaches a certain duration, it's going to end the call. So let's say that the end call here is 1 and the timeout seconds is 10 seconds. In this case, if nothing is said at all within 10 seconds, the AI will assume that the user might have left or dropped off. And since we put 1 under end call, the agent will insert one filler phrase. For example, are you still with me? Are you still connected? And then it waits again for a few seconds, and then it ends the call if there's no response from the user. Now, keywords. This is a very cool feature to correct any mispronounced words by the agent. For example, I have put endodontics here, and that's because I found that this is a commonly mispronounced word by the agent. So by putting this here, I'm telling the agent, hey, watch out for this word. And if you hear anything that resembles this, I want you to prioritize this word so it just makes the interaction more accurate. Now, for speech gen. So under speech provider, we currently have 7 as of the date of this filming. I'm using Cartesia. Now, this is just the speech model that could vary depending on the provider. For the voice selection, I want it to be a female and maybe have a little bit of an accent. For example, let's say French, a French accent speaking English.
Hello, how are you?
Okay, that's very soft. I'm probably just gonna use French narrator lady. I've used it a bunch of times and every time I'm quite happy with it. So
Hello, how are you?
Enable custom ID. Enable custom voice ID just allows you to use your own custom voice instead of choosing from one of the providers here. This applies if you want to use a specific voice, for example, a voice that you cloned. This is the option you enable. But a word of caution, this is an advanced option and this might cause the agent to not work as expected. So you can experiment with it, but just keep that in mind. Now, for the long message back channeling, you have the option to make your agent use filler words or a verbal nod, so to speak. For example, if user is taking too long to explain his issue, his concern, and you don't want the agent to remain silent throughout that long explanation, and you enable this, and the agent is going to insert some verbal nods while the user is explaining. For example, right, okay. And background noise. Currently, you have the option to add restaurant, office, street, or none. I like the office background noise. I think it makes the voice more realistic. In the future, you also have the option to add your own background noise. Now, for the punctuation breaks, controls how the AI adds natural pauses in its speech when generating audio. For example, if we click on the reset to default here, you're going to see the default punctuations where a pause will be added once the AI detects these punctuations. There's period, exclamation point, question mark, semicolon, and so on. I'm not really going to add anything else here because I think this is pretty much what you would use generally. Minimum words to stop speaking. So when the AI is speaking and the user interrupts, this setting helps determine how quickly the AI should stop mid-sentence. If you put 0, which is by the way the default, the AI will instantly stop speaking as soon as any word or sound is detected from the user. If it's a higher number, for example, 2, the AI will wait until at least 2 words are detected from the user before stopping its speech. In my experience, I feel like 0 could sometimes yield a false positive. Even if there's no word spoken, the AI could sometimes interpret a noise as one word, and this is not all the time, but very occasionally, the AI stops when it shouldn't. So if you want to be on the safer side, based on my experience, I would probably just put 1 or 2 here, just to ensure that the user is actually speaking before the AI stops talking. And here, for the word replacement, this is the word. This is an industry vocabulary, and naturally the AI would pronounce this as SWI. But if you have a specific pronunciation within your industry, this is actually pronounced as SWI. So this is where you set that. Now for the phone numbers. The phone numbers tab is where you assign a phone number to each of your agents. So here, this phone number is assigned to the Pure Care Dental Clinic. And you also have the option to import a Twilio number if you have a specific number in mind. And for the advanced and settings, here, let's open the agent. And here, enable web calling. The web calling is basically an option to talk to the agent through the microphone instead of just a text chat. So right now it is enabled. As you can see, it is available. Now, enable voice orb just means that this orb right here is enabled. If we disable that, you're not going to see that anymore. And voice first opens the voice UI orb directly without having to click on the phone button. So as you can see, no need to click here. The orb is already visible. Now for the router back channeling, this makes the AI say, okay, be right back when it's thinking which route it should take. For example, it is checking the availability and busy time within Google Calendar. And while it's doing that, it's going to say these words just to make it more organic and human-like. If you want that, simply enable. Now for the record calls, this will make the agent not HIPAA compliant. When is it not safe to record? You have to be very careful if you're in the US and you're using the AI in a medical setting and you're recording calls with real patients. And because this is a dental clinic and therefore deals with medical records, I am disabling this so I cannot record calls. But if you're not dealing with medical records, it is generally safe to record. For example, if the calls are not about sensitive health information, it's just sales and general inquiries, you're probably fine enabling record calls. And now the server URL. So the server URL setting lets Texa send info to another system like make.com via a webhook every time a call starts or ends. So for example, when your agent gets or finishes a call, Texa can automatically send details like how long the call lasted, the link to the call recording, and who the call was with. This is quite a handy feature if you want to send a message in Slack that says, the agent has finished a 3-minute call, here's the recording link. Or you want to log the call in a CRM or trigger a follow-up automation after the call. In short, the server URL lets Texa tell your other tools what's happening with your voice calls automatically. Then for the voice library, it's basically the library of the voices. Here you can find the provider, the gender, and the name of each voice. Note though that every time you play a voice, it's spending credit, so be careful. Make sure that you keep that in mind. And that wraps it up for Texa's Voice tab. If you want to learn all about the features that Texa Agents has to offer, click on this playlist. And if you have any questions about the features and capabilities of Texa, leave them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.